The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win Make Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan. Chad Himes here, joined as always, well, I guess not always, as usually, by the lovely Jillian Snell. Jillian, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm grateful to be here and with all of you.
Well, we're grateful to have you here as we always are, because the conversations are better when you are a part of them. Let me be very clear on that. Yet today, Jillian, I wasn't enough. You weren't enough. We went out and we got a third voice to join us on today's podcast. And we have a really, really special interview ahead of us, I think. We've got an amazing story with amazing results and an amazing lesson to pass on to you, our audience. So sit down, buckle in. We're going to go longer than our normal 15 minutes today, because this one's going to be worth it. And I want to welcome to the 15-Point Plan podcast our guest today, Steve. Steve, welcome to the show.
Chad, you found your gift.
Thank you. My dad told me I had a face for radio when I was young, so podcasting it is now.
Brother, your podcast episodes are amazing. Can't wait to share them with our followers.
Well, we appreciate that, Steve. And we can't wait to share you with our followers. Now, you know, you sent me over a bio of you, and it's wow. Yet I hate reading bios because they just sound so stale. Doesn't matter. So, Steve, I'm going to just put it right back to you. Tell our audience who you are and introduce yourself to them.
That's a big question. Yeah. Wow. My passion is helping people take charge of their health, body, and mindset. You know, my journey started many years ago as an entrepreneur at 17 years old. Nobody in my family was, and it took a life of its own. I ended up building a very successful organization and making a difference, helping people. And then one day, my gut just crashed, and it changed my life. It affected my life, my mind, my finances, my relationships. I remember losing the clarity and the intuition that served me, and working with executive clients and thinking, oh, wow, it's so humbling. And then that path, and I just want to say to everybody, you know, often when we go through a challenge and we're receptive to that, and we are in this cognizant place of realizing that our path here is very short and we're here to make a difference, we realize that it's an invitation for change. It's an invitation to evolve. We're scheduled to evolve. You know, the tulip just doesn't say, I don't feel like breaking the ground, or the oak tree doesn't say, I don't feel like burying my acorns this fall. I mean, it's when I embraced that, I realized it was a new journey in my life. And looking back, it was exactly what I wanted deep down in my soul.
Okay, I want to go back a little bit before all that, because you that's amazing, and you're giving us great stuff, and we could probably just dive into what you said for a whole podcast. Yet, Steve, your gut just okay. You weren't just some guy walking down the street, though, who all of a sudden went, "Ow, my stomach!" Right? You were into fitness. You were into health. You were into all of this stuff. Talk to us a little bit about life before maybe this realization. Who were you? So our audience has this sense to say, damn, he was all the way there, and now he's gotten here. I don't have to get there to get here. I can learn from him.
Damn good question. Yeah, it's interesting, because everybody that's known me for the last 30 years, prior to my, I'll say, condition, I wouldn't even call it an illness or what it is. And first thoughts in mind reproduce in like kind. And so the people that had known me for years would say I modeled ideal health. And truth be known, it was about me having clarity, like way more than what it looked like. And before I got sick, I thought everything that I was doing was ideal. I mean, I just always have found experts, and that's exactly what I did. And everything that I learned from these experts, these radical meal plans like keto and supplements with chemicals in them, it was so wrong. And it doesn't sustain us as we get older. So, you know, we create these habits and we just think, great. and we're not really thinking about the longevity. And I had no signs leading up to it. And I remember just being with my 12-year-old son at a vegan restaurant, and all of a sudden I didn't feel right. And I stood up, and my son looked at me and he said, "What's the matter with your stomach? It's huge." And I pulled up my shirt and he said, "Dude, what happened to your abs?" And I didn't know what was happening to me. I was thinking I needed to go into urgent care. And then it just started. Every time I ate or drank anything after that time, I was bloated. And doctors were no help. My lab tests actually looked great. And I kept thinking, what the hell is the matter with me? I mean, I would have rather known than not known. And the good news is that my son's mom, who is my partner in Body Temple, LLC.com and Lifeline Coaches, she had been on this journey for 2 years of healing herself from second stage cancer. And what was awesome about it is no chemo, no radiation, no surgery. So she had started this journey that I wasn't paying attention to. In my mind, it was like, man, how about if she dies? How about if she leaves my son? Like, what is going to happen here? I don't know that I was really intentionally buying into it. And she has lived and breathed the practices of the top wellness institute in the US, the Hypocrites Health Institute in Southern Florida. And so she was like on this plant-based diet, like life sprouts, no chemicals. And so I started following this path, and doctors were just no help. So she started leading me to, I like to call them these magicians, these healers that are disguised as, naturopaths or chiropractors. And when I took their tests, I had this serious case of celiacs. And this candida had just destroyed my gut, and it was all over. And what I realized is the body can reverse its condition. That's why I don't call it an autoimmune. And I'm just saying to everybody, you got to get your blood work done a couple of times a year, especially if you're not tapping into your body. And more importantly, being aware of how you feel, because there are these stages. I've worked with thousands of people now. And when you get blood work back, you get labs back, and you don't feel right, you're in the midst of manifesting disease. And that is the time where you have this period of time where you have grace. I mean, heavens, there's 14% of us in America walking around with parasites. It's not talked about with doctors. Parasites are contracted from chemicals and toxins contained in processed food, supplements, water, animal protein, even can be contacted through sexual contact. So that is my story, basically. Yeah. And it was
there's a lot to unpack there. And it sounds like you've really been on a journey where you've probably done a lot of research and had your own personal experiences that have brought you to today. I want to just go back. So when you were in this perceived healthy state, you did a couple of great things, like you were Mr. Oregon, right? For bodybuilding, is that correct?
Yes.
Bodybuilding. Yeah. So you were doing a lot of things right. I mean, you were Mr. Oregon, and there was probably a list of other accomplishments. Yet you bring up this word chemicals, like chemicals in food or supplements, and radical meal plans, and there's these decisions that you made that you didn't know were going to lead you to this diagnosis by doctors, correct?
Yeah,
which
great way.
You may or may not call an autoimmune. So I just want to hear from you a little bit more about what brought you there, so we can learn from that. And then from there, let's go into how learning about how you healed yourself from that state.
Well done with the recap. Well done.
Thank you.
She's good at that.
You got quite the radio voice.
Hey, I'll take it.
You both are in your element. I love it.
What's most important is that the audience agrees, right? And we just make a great trio here.
Yeah, great. I think, I listen to a lot of podcasts, so they don't do a lot of recapping. And then I noticed the thing that I went there for, I didn't hear. And then I'm like, oh, they went like south on the thing that they were supposed to talk about that I wanted to hear. And I waited for the whole thing, right? Well done.
That's what we have.
I would say 70% of my clients. Oh, what'd you say?
I was saying, Dave Weldon, he edits our podcast for us. So we've got some help with that if we ever mess up. But yeah, but keep going for us.
When I look back, I would say 70% of my cause was definitely the radical meal plans and chemicals and supplements, which is why we created a 100% chemical-free product line, like just 3 products around the gut, probiotics, and I just won't take chemicals anymore. It's just not part of my world. But the unknown to me that really waked me up was that 30% of my cause, I would say, came from this anxiety that I did not know had a direct relationship with the gut. And all of you that have children, oh man, I mean, anxiety right now and depression is record high. The numbers of people on antidepressants are record high. The suicides in US are record high and along the all through the world. And children, when they have depression or anxiety, they will look at a parent and say, "Mommy, my stomach hurts." So I didn't know that I was, part of that cause. Like, I didn't have depression, but my life was very hectic all the time. And here's my story. I had friends telling me for years, "You need to do a bodybuilding show. Why don't you?" And I was about 44 at that time, but I was traveling all over North America. My entrepreneur brand held about 2,000 seminars, constantly just had a very active life doing the thing that I love to do. And it was, so I just decided at 44, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do the show. I'm just thinking, I did 2, and they were pretty much within about 8 months. And what I want you all to hear is that what changed my life was that it was the only friggin' thing in my life that nobody had control over. When I thought it out, I thought my business, my relationships, their move affects my move. And it was like, whoa, I get to do whatever I want to do with my body. And it took that competition to get me to realize that, because I just had these non-negotiables, and these non-negotiables during that 12 weeks that I was preparing for my competition. My first competition was like, I'm just going to focus on this time frame and nothing's going to get in the way. And I'm a mindset coach. So what I realized through that experience was like, wow, I had complete control of my mind, my thoughts, my actions, my choices. And leading up to it, I hired these, like I said, these reputable people, this naturopath, this poser, and this trainer. And I'm spending $800 effing bucks a month on supplements. And I just continued on that after my show. And then 2 years later, my gut quit. And that's when I felt powerless. I felt powerless. I felt so naive that I even contracted that after I did my research. I didn't know 92% of the supplements on the market had chemicals in them. I didn't know that food combination just doesn't sustain ourselves. And that's when, my eyes were just like completely open to the fact that, we really have to do our due diligence to do our research. I didn't know like harsh meal plans like keto can greatly affect your kidneys, your nutrient deficiency, even heart disease, your liver, your thyroid. And who the heck wants that? When you think about where you want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we got to give up that instant gratification. And then I started thinking about like the manipulation with media and pharmaceutical drugs. And we don't even think about it at first glance that our health is going to affect our relationships, our finances. For some people, it gets so bad that they don't even have faith. And so I started to look at it from a longevity standpoint, like the late Betty White that died at 99 years old. I've been following her for years because she modeled for me my most important attribute, joy. And I looked healthy from the outside, but I was so sick inside. I remember getting ready for a retreat at the Vidara in Vegas. I'd spent about 80 grand on this, and all these leaders flying in from all over the world. And it was about my 13th week of my illness. And I thought, how the hell am I going to get through this? how am I going to get through this? It was one of the most difficult times in my life. And that's when I just found a formulator and knew exactly where those products came from, the soil, the process, 100% chemical free. And that was the starting point of my decisions and the products that I was putting on my body that completely restored my health.
Wow. All right. So there's a lot to unpack there. Now, Steve, you're not necessarily a listener to every episode of the 15-point plan. You're not necessarily a follower of the 15-point plan yet.
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay, there you go. Good. Love it. But what I hear, Jolene, is I'm hearing Steve go on this, and I'm going through our 15 points. Right. He had his goals. He was set for those 12 weeks for the competing of the show. He was talking about nutrition, and boy, don't we go back in our nutrition when we dive deep on that and talk about having a balanced diet, not having one of these extreme diets because of what you're probably doing to yourself.
Yeah, he's talking to the right people on that.
He's talking about supplements, right? When he's talking about all the things we're talking about, it's what are you taking? Why are you taking that? Why should you be taking this instead? Certain things. And here we are right now in the middle of the section on influences. And here I'm hearing Steve talk about the influences he had in his life then, people who gave him these programs, people who said, take this, people who said, do that he looked to as mentors, or he looked to as leaders, or he looked to as experts. He was taking their influence. Now he's talking about how you've got to have that influence from inside, right? You can't allow the media to influence you. You can't allow all these people sometimes to influence you. You have to do your own research. You have to understand. And that's led Steve to create BodyTempleLLC.com. So folks, if you want to know about it, Steve, you've only got 3 products on there. 3.
You know what? I'm about gut health. And you know what? You would not believe how many products I used to take. Like, you would not believe it. It's so simple because most of what I do is plant-based. I'm a sprouter. People don't even understand. It's not even hard to do. You can buy the best produce and vegetation and it's dead. It's dead. It's still good, but it's not best. Like, I grow my own pea sprouts and wheatgrass. I'm a wheatgrass shooter from the mouth and from the behind. I want anti-aging. I'm 57 years old. I get stopped all the time. I'm like a sauna, and people asking me, or they come up to me at the gym. I'm like, dude, how old are you? If I could show you pictures of me 10 years ago, even before I got ill, yeah, I had so much inflammation on my face. Shit, I didn't even realize it was just like this subtle, slight edge thing that just was happening to me, like a marriage you're just not cultivating. I wasn't paying attention. I was so friggin' busy. And when I think about the way that we get just in our mind about deserving things that aren't healthy for us. It's been a long week. Damn it, I deserve a really great meal on Friday night at this restaurant, and I believe I deserve my 3 cocktails. Or it's been a really bad day, I'm going to go through the drive-through. And even those of you that are maybe a little bit younger, and on a scale of 1 to 10, you think your health is about a 9 or a 10. There are all these toxins in water, in chemicals, in processed food, and even fish. Like, when you start to study, you don't have a great fish source. My God, there's 85 to 137 chemicals in most fish. And so
we do have something?
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what are some things that we can watch out for? I know you've got these 3 products on your website, and I love that you guys are, growing a lot of the ingredients within there that are chemical free. But for those of us who are eating fish, I love me a good halibut and a black cod, and we're in the Northwest. We love fish here. And some of the supplements that we take. Could you give us a couple suggestions on what we should watch out for?
You guys are damn good at what you do. You're so dialed in, because of course I'm going to the story and thinking about all of the listeners here. It's BodyTempleKickstart.com. BodyTempleKickstart.com. We have this 43-minute video, and my partner, Lynn, who is the cancer survivor, not once, but twice, who is like, who Joe Dispenza would say, she's from another world now. Like, I'm not at 100%. She's at 100%. She's at 100% with everything she does. Now, I'm just going to say this. to answer Julian's question, first of all, if I was going to meet you in an airport and you and I had a conversation and you're about ready to board and you're going to say to, and you ask me, what are like the top things that I can do to restore my health? I'm going to say, A, sweat every day. I'm in a sauna every single day. Or I'm doing Bikram yoga. And I'll tell you, not just because like I had an 18-hour day yesterday. It's not my norm. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't get in the sauna. I didn't even take a shower, which is so odd. Like it was so packed out. But I have this energy that's just sustainable because of what I do. And it's sweat. And you sweat from the inside, you sweat from the outside. Sweating from the inside is like cardio. Sweating from the outside is like sauna. Sweating both externally and internally would be like Bikram yoga. Second, eliminate the sugar. You know, there are, gosh, what is it? 58 different ingredients, words for sugar on ingredients. Like, and wheat is sugar, right? Like pasta is sugar. And so what I want you to know is we have a manual that you'll get when you opt in that is called the Body Temple Toxins and Chemicals to Avoid. Like it's right there for you. And then the Kickstart Detox Manual. It's so beyond a gut cleanse. It's a great name. It's called the 15
day Kickstart Gut Detox Plan. Yeah, and it's the 15-day Kickstart Gut Detox Plan.
It's marketing, right? But at the end of the day, that manual and that video is like a complete plan that you can consistently do. Third, go green, man. You know, if you don't know, like what you don't know down the line is there's so much great food that you can eat that is completely vegan, but healthy vegan. But at the end of the day, I don't like things that are complicated. I'm like all mainly produce. I might do some quinoa, which is great, sprouted quinoa. But at the end of the day, I am mainly produce. And those of you that are bodybuilders, just look at a friggin' ape. You know, we think in our mind that we need like animal protein. And for some people, yeah, we're not about like one category fits all. And that's the cool thing about like what we do in coaching, because we work with people on the things that they know. And there are even some blood types that actually say that animal protein is ideal for that blood type. And so it is a customized package because we get to 10 many different ways, right? A couple 5s, 3 3s, and a 1. And so the most important piece that I see for you is that you're constantly educating yourself. And so what's going to happen when you opt into the bodytemplekickstart.com, it's in the show notes, you're going to get this 43-minute video. And what's the first decision you make? You make a decision. I'm ready for change. Nothing's going to happen until you make that decision. It's like 12 step. You're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And then second, you have to create an ideal wellness plan. We've got this amazing template. And in all of that, it's customized. There's choices. Like when you go through that 15-day Kickstart Detox, you're going to realize we have a basic plan for those of you that just want to keep it basic during those 15 days and feel better. Then we've got a progressive plan. And then we have an ideal plan. And so those of you that are sick or need to go narrow, that's the plan that you want to choose. So know it's all there. And
all right.
So great place to start.
It's the great place to start. And I want to give everybody that website again to make sure you have it correctly. It's bodytemplellc.com/kickstart. Okay. Bodytemplellc.com.
The bikers and the walkers.
I just want them to all remember bodytemplellc.com. You want to go right to this Kickstart guide. It's bodytemplellc.com/kickstart. Want to make sure you guys all have that. And yes, we will put the link in the show notes for you.
Yeah, and they can actually get their brother through bodytemplekickstart.com. We were talking to everybody before this interview about the end user, and I'm like all about making things simple for the end user.
Well, that's why I want to keep
in your car, or you're on a cardio machine. Body Temple is the name of the company. Think about that. You're going to honor your body. It's my only tattoo. I put on my forearm when I heal myself. I told myself, when I heal myself, get my first tattoo. And then Kickstart. So bodytempokickstart.com.
Okay. Steve, I want to get off this topic for a second because I want to keep talking about influences that you have in the world around you. And I want to keep talking about how you have had success and how you can turn that. It's more than just taking a pill. Folks, you can't just wake up every day and take a pill. Steve, I'm looking at your office where you're sitting. Our audience can't see it. We don't record video yet. We do it just so we can see each other. And heck, Jolene, I just like laughing at Jolene when so we want the video here. I'm looking over your left shoulder here, and you got some posters up on the wall over there. The one I can clearly read says, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And it looks to me like the other posters that are up there are under the same general concept. Talk to me about that concept there. You're surrounding yourself with a message. You're putting that influence into your world. Every day you go into your office and see those things. Talk to our audience about the power of those messages you have hanging on your wall for you.
I want to say this is one of the greatest interviews I've ever had. You two are tapped in. And in that thought, right when Chad said that, I thought of a lot of those plaques. They're all over. I've got 3 offices in my home, and they've come from clients. Fill your mind with truth. Fill your heart with love. Fill your heart with service. I know that. But what I want to circle back to is that Chad was in what I call 3rd level listening. That's called universal listening. So as a coach of 25 years and many certifications, we are either in this state of self-focused listening, which is 90% of the population. They walk across the street in front of a car with their phone. They're not tapped into anything going around them. And then the 2nd level of the listening is called relationship listening. So when I back up every day, back my car up, I say out loud, Steve, you're going out in the world. You're going to impact lives. You're going to be present. You're going to be curious. You're going to listen. You're going to acknowledge. You're going to make people feel good. And so what's happening symbolically is Chad's noticing my character around those signs. But my question to all of you is, are you tapping in? So I will tell you that transformation happens in environments. What does that mean? If your marriage is not doing well, you most likely, if you want to save it, are going to find an environment for transformation. You might go to a marriage encounter weekend, or you may go to your church and find a counselor. You might find a coach, and you're going to start to work on it. If you wanted to play an instrument and you go out and spend a good couple grand on an awesome guitar, you're going to have to find an environment that's going to help you learn it. If you want to shift your health, you're going to find an environment. You're going to maybe go to a gym or Orange Theory, or you're going to get into some environment. But why don't we create an environment to friggin' rock our day? Your morning ritual, nobody gets my morning ritual. Nobody gets it. It's with my creator. It's tapping in. It's the blueprint that I've created for myself that I read to train my brain how to think. And what are the commonalities that we all 4 have? Relational, physical, spiritual, and financial/career. And so we train our brain through affirmations. So one example of that is when I started to heal myself, I went on this narrow journey. When I started to get better, I decided I wasn't going to drink. And I could not go into an environment where there were people and there was alcohol. And I thought at one point, like, do I have a drinking problem? Because it never mattered up until that point. But when I made the decision, first step, make the decision, you're ready for change, I realized I could not go into an environment where there was alcohol. And then when I studied serotonin and I studied dopamine and I studied what was really happening, is my body was waiting for that experience. My life's busy. And it's the only time when I go out and hang out with friends that I would groom myself slow, play some music, have a cocktail before I leave, go listen to music. It was all about the serotonin and the awesome experience. So all I read every day was, Steve, you don't meet friends in environments that promote alcohol until you train yourself how to think. And it took me several months until that happened. So I say, one thing that you're going to learn, I didn't go through this. I realized this earlier because one of you asked me a question and it was, okay, I went to first make a decision ready for change. Second, create your ideal plan. But most importantly, shift your poor habits to ideal habits and notice your triggers. If you want transformation in your life, you got to know what your effing triggers are. And those triggers will start to come up when you make a decision you're ready for change. And this is a time that you have to be beautiful with yourself. You got to love yourself through the process. One of my affirmations in this ideal wellness plan for everybody is, I enjoy the journey, stay in process. And when I go self on my commitment, I bless, release, and recommit. And so it takes a while. But after you realize that your morning, when I don't set up my morning, or it's times that I very rarely don't do that, my day is not the same. And often we wake up and we don't even know what we've been thinking about subliminally. And that's what that third part you're going to learn in that 43-minute video and the Kickstart Detox Manual. We even have a body temple shopping guide. We can show you how to buy things online at discount that supports you in creating your ideal wellness plan. In fact, I forgot to say, but the first 20 that opt into the Kickstart Detox program, member, it's in the show notes, you will get a $197 gift certificate to talk to a body temple coach to do a strategy session. And we've got several, and they're amazing.
Oh, there's a lot of value that you're providing here, and we really appreciate that. I'm in the real estate business, and so when I focus on it full time, right, I give all the time allotted in my week to my real estate business. It's a little easier to be successful, right? It's a little easier to hit some milestones and follow goals and be committed. Like I've got the momentum, I've got the time, and yet, when it comes to our health and our wellness, a lot of us don't have this full time to devote to it. We have other businesses and focuses and families, and it can be really difficult to juggle that. And so I just wanted to, you talked a little bit about commitment, just making a change and deciding to make a change for the better, whether it's, maybe avoiding alcohol or avoiding chemicals or avoiding fad diets and those types of things. Could you give us a couple just short tips on for those of us who are not doing this full time, right? How do we really generate that commitment and make that lasting change?
First of all, we all have the same 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But until we go within, we go without. And this is why I've always looked for experts. The first thing I do after my meditation is I go to my email and I just delete everything I don't want to look at. That's what I do. And it's because I'm very selective about who I follow and who I engage in. But in simple terms, when you think of fitness, most people think of a gym. Even in my entrepreneur brand, I just find it interesting. I have an entrepreneur brand and I'm phasing out, but a lot of these entrepreneurs, they've built multi-million-dollar businesses because of my $1 million protege leadership program. But they realize, I know they hired me for that, but what they don't realize is their life's going to get better. Whatever areas they want to focus on, whether it's health or relationships or fun and recreation. But I find it interesting when I go through this wheel of life and I say on a scale of 1 to 10, how fulfilled are you with your health? And they'll give me often an average score or low. And I'll say, what would increase it? Oh, I got to go to the gym. I just got to go to the gym. Do you like going to the gym? Not really. Then why do you want to go to the gym? We can look at what you might do that might just be that thing that you fall in love with. And I can tell you, people find it. but on simple terms. Like, why do we overcomplicate it? Stretching is so simple. And it's high, deep breathing is super easy. And so you start slow and you take these baby steps, but it still comes down to anyone I'm going to work with, that I'm going to hire, they better have a plan for me. They better have some template that can guide me and helping me notice what is this thing that I want to do. Because see, when it comes down to it, in conscious reality is that most of you are looking at other people that have what you want, and you're either jealous, envious, or you are aspiring that. And that's the cool part about people, what they model. We don't even realize the chatter subconsciously, but the thing that we see, whether it's a great marriage, or they got a great body, or they have a great career, whatever that thing is, like, we want to be in that state that manifests that thing. But what gets in the way is you have a story and you make it true. And it's called your true north compass. It's not true, but you make it true. And that's your saboteur archetype. And the only way that you shift that story is you have to change your strategy. And it comes from desire. And desire often is contrast. People don't like contrast. They don't even really always understand what it is. It's wanted and wanted conditions. So these wanted and unwanted conditions start to help you. Unwanted conditions help you see what you do want. Because when you ask yourself the optimum question, oh, I don't prefer this. I don't like this. What is it that I want? And then you train your brain to think about what you want. That's the thing. Like, what do you want? And then that's where the desire starts to evolve. And then vision is born from desire. And those are esoteric subjects like heaven. You just can't describe it. But intention is born from vision. And intention's your work. Nobody gets to do that. Nobody can do that for you. You have to do that for yourself. Intention is the blueprint, the commitment, the A to Z map that supports you in getting you what you want. And you have to place your intention on your attention.
There you go. That's exactly what I was just going to grab that sentence right there for everybody. Folks, you might listen to some of our episodes and then you get partway through it and you're like, okay, I got it. If you don't stay till the end, you missed that. You missed that bit by Steve right there. You want to get this episode? Yeah. There's a lot about gut health. There's a lot about the health in general. There's a lot about the influences we have. What does he do with his emails in the morning? He deletes the ones he doesn't even want to look at right away, right? He clears out those influences he has in his world. And then he wraps it up by telling you, you got to put the attention on your intention, because that's how change happens. And that's how you become someone different. That's how you put your attention on the intention of the 15-point plan. That's how you become part of the 15-point plan for life group on Facebook and say, I'm going to put my attention on the intention of reporting my numbers every day. So we hope you're joining us there. Steve, on behalf of Jolene, on behalf of myself, Dave, the guy over there that no one ever gets to see, on behalf of our audience, wow, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. And audience, we hope this episode ups your energy and takes you to the next level.